Welcome to BS with AJ, ladies and gentlemen. On the Talk America Radio Network, I am AJ, and we are going to BS. That's what I do. That's what we do. 1 hour a week. We talk about the things that have gone on, and we gain a little perspective on them, I think. We have a pretty good track record on this show of seeing through the media bias, the propaganda that is inserted into just about every single thing that we hear about, see, learn, discuss, and are exposed to through our televisions, our radios, and our media. We've talked about it a number of times, but each week I get to the show, I come into the little space I use to do the show here, and it's almost overwhelming. The events that have taken place in the last 7 days since I did the show the last time. There's too much to talk about. There's no way to cover it all. Even the hosts that have a 3-hour show still struggle to get out all of their thoughts and to really dive to the complete depths of the subjects as we watch this Trump presidency unfold and its effect on us as a society, our relationships with one another. What do you mean, AJ? I tell you what, between the NFL, DACA, now what's going on here with this Harvey Weinstein deal, which a lot of folks might think, well, this isn't really connected with Trump. And on the face of it, it's not. Of course, the left, the defenders, I shouldn't say defenders. Most of the folks have come out now and in one way or another and criticized Harvey Weinstein and his behavior. No matter how long it took them to do it, they're all out doing it now. And he's, of course, in rehab, spending lots of money. And as Tucker Carlson likes to say, spending money talking about himself. Just discussing himself more and more and more with people now. Who is Harvey? Why is he suffering? Why is he sick? Harvey. It's all about Harvey. Well, for the rest of us, it's not. It's about what he did, the victims, the people affected by what he did, and what it tells us about the society in Hollywood, what it's like to exist in that world. The Hollywood elite, for the most part, spend all of their time telling us how stupid we are and showing us how virtuous and empathetic they are and how much more deeply connected with their emotions and their understanding of the world that they inhabit they are than the rest of us. We are the serfs, the peasants. They are the elite, the entertainers, the artists, the news makers, the news bringers, and the politicians. And in this day and age when we discuss with one another in these shows and in these forums the division of our country, how divided we are, I think of these instances as being a further example of the division of the country. In Hollywood, where it's okay to behave like a Harvey Weinstein or an Oliver Stone or whoever else it's going to be we're going to discover had these kinds of habits, we have a culture of elites who are going to do as they do: sex, drugs, rock and roll, Hollywood parties, debauchery. And all the while they're going to preach to us about how misogynist, racist, bigoted, homophobic, close-minded, clinging to our guns and to our Bibles, and how awful we are, while they live that life that we are only occasionally exposed to through scandals like this. But the fact of the matter is, the division between ourselves and the people who entertain us is part of the division of this country. It's part of the division is illustrated by the mainstream media. Those people who are willing to print stories and report news that they've gotten from anonymous sources, or at least we're supposed to believe that. It turns out to be not true, but we can't count on them to tell us about people like Harvey Weinstein, Oliver Stone at all, when the evidence has been there for decades. Even when they have not anonymous sources, but actual known people, known names, people to go and talk to that were there, that were actually affected by it. This has spurred a whole huge debate, and if you've been paying attention to talk radio, you've been listening to that debate. For myself, I always try to listen to what the debate is and then try to find what's missing. What is it that hasn't been brought up? What is it that we haven't discussed about this yet? Well, I think what's not been discussed about this yet is that all of us knew this kind of thing was happening. I believe we've all been consumers of the media and movies and the art that these actors and actresses and producers produce and create and sell to us, the products they create and sell to us. We've all been consuming since we were born. I don't think there's anyone left alive who didn't spend the majority of their life living with televisions and radios and seeing them become pocket-sized and these intelligent phones, smartphones, supercomputers basically, that we carry around with us all the time. You've heard me talk about it on the show before. We've known all along. They've put it into their productions. They've talked about it. We've seen that in this debate. Different jokes at the awards, different scenes and jokes and shows, and different people alluding to that kind of behavior taking place. And of course, it's become such a big discussion now and such a big subject. We're seeing new names that we hadn't heard discuss it come out. Emma Thompson. There's another one too. Just did an interview today with TMZ. And the name is slipping my head. But another person that was assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. And so when I hear all these people knew and they didn't do anything about it, I think we all knew. And we've not done anything about it. We've continued to buy the movie tickets. We've continued to subscribe to the channels and to buy the merch and the t-shirt and to be the fans of the actors and the actresses. And part of me says that's as it should be. We're just civilians who are looking for entertainment, and these people provide it, and we're happy to get it from them. We think they're good at it, and so everybody wins. But if we're going to get all high and mighty about the moral principles involved in fame, fortune, rock and roll, the arts and entertainment and media, I think we need to keep that grain of salt with us. I think we need to keep in mind that we have known that sex, drugs, rock and roll, debauchery has been part of our arts and entertainment industry for a very long time. Whether or not it's the Beatles or it's Elvis or it's Buddy Holly or it's... I'm sure there are other examples. We can talk about Roman Polanski. That's been brought up in this debate as well. Throughout the history of these industries, this has been a part of that culture. Because that predatory instinct of male-female, the sexual energy that takes place, I don't want to call it chemistry, but the energies that are produced in human beings, males and females when they're around one another, and put in positions of power above or subservient to one another, I believe this happens. I'm not condoning it. I don't think that that's good. I don't think that it's natural and we shouldn't have a problem with it. But I do believe that we should expect that it happens and we should be prepared and not shocked. And that we should probably try to gauge just how big of a deal we want to make it. Is it important enough for us to say no to our children when it's time to go and watch some movie that is filled with liberal bias and was created by holier-than-thou, do-as-I-say, not-as-I-do creeps? Is it okay for us to say no to the new summer blockbuster produced by the biggest production company in Hollywood, staffed by people who abuse their power to take advantage of people with less power than them, male and female? I think that it is. I think that there's some... It's virtue, but it's not virtue signaling. It's living with virtue to draw a line somewhere and say, no, I'm not going to give my money to this organization or that production or this product because of who produces it and what they stand for. It's a boycott, sure, but I think a boycott is when you reach out to your friends and form a group and try to spread it and cause that to happen over a large number of people. I'm talking about us as individuals. When we see what we see, and hear what we hear from our idols, the people that I guess a lot of us and so many of us want to be like. How many people wish they could be an actress or a football player? That's the whole thing here. We're getting into discussions, and I think it's as a result of a Trump presidency that we have not been having in this country. The left wants us to think that there are discussions about race and oppression and misogyny and bigotry and homophobia and Islamophobia, but no. They're discussions and debates about decency and obeying the law and having some sense of integrity and character, doing what you say you'll do and saying what you're going to do, meaning being honest and forthright, taking something seriously, some self-respect so that we can respect others. I don't think it's too much to ask to expect those kinds of things from people that we admire. I think, in fact, it might be possible to suggest that those things ought to be in place before we willingly admire them, regardless of how good they are at guitar, or how great they are at screenwriting, or how good of a director they are, or their ability to cry on cue for the camera, to touch all of our hearts in the Hollywood movie that we're watching. We have given so much moral leeway and get out of jail free cards to the people that we have lifted up in our society through television, radio, the people in front of the microphones and the cameras, that they feel like they can get away with these kinds of things. And why shouldn't they? If we continue to consume their products and keep them where they are at their level of fame and fortune and luxury, why would we expect them to change their ways? Why would we expect them to have some kind of consistent plateau of behavior and have it not always be getting worse and getting worse, feeding their desires and their selfish, petty indulgences? I think we should expect it. I think that there are enough of us in this country still who understand what it is that I'm suggesting and what it is that I'm trying to get out here, is that we hold people to a standard, to some kind of account for who they are and what they are. And when they misstep and when they make mistakes, it's not about destroying them, but it's about holding them accountable and maybe removing from them the things that enable the kind of behavior that we don't find acceptable with them. I hope that as we have seen the numbers fall for the NFL in their ratings and in their merchandise, the true indicators of the effects that their decisions have had on their audience, the people who buy their product, I hope and believe that we'll be seeing it in Hollywood as well. I know there's already been some rumblings that that's taking place, that box office numbers are way down over the years here. And I would suggest that it's because nothing original comes out of Hollywood anymore, or very little anyway. And even if it gets that original tag, it's not often unique. But I think this will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, that will cause many people to decide to stay home. The next big Hollywood blockbuster that's released, or the big movie that features all of these actors and actresses who have been so demeaning and condescending to us over the years because of our difference in political views and social views. I hope they start to suffer in the pocketbooks. Lord knows they've been paid enough in the few years they've enjoyed in their careers that they would never have to work again. So we're really not hurting them. But sending a message to Hollywood that says enough, sending a message to the mainstream media that says no more, sending a message to the NFL that says, sorry, not going to go there anymore if you're going to behave this way. They're effective messages. We're sending them, and it's going to have a positive effect. More on this when we return. This is BS with AJ on the Talk America Radio Network.
Let's dance.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-264-1289. 800-264-1289. 800-264-1289. Again, that's 800-264-1289.
Welcome back to BS with AJ. This is AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network. We're sending messages loud and clear to Hollywood, to the NFL, and to our politicians, to the Republican Congress. We're sending loud and clear messages. We've had enough of the BS. We've had enough of the marketing and the PR and the spin. It's over. It's done. We don't care to hear it anymore. We want it out of our lives. It's one of the reasons we elected Trump, I believe. He sees through it all as well. And for all of the criticism people have of him that might be his biggest asset, his ability to see through and wipe away and remove all of the BS from the situation and see what's really going on and not stand for all of the political correct crap. But a couple of executive orders this week. Well, I guess just one. I'm incorrect to think of the Iran situation as an executive order. But with the executive order on healthcare, I'm glad that this is happening. This is a situation, I see this as part of a game, part of the strategy, the 4D checkers he's playing. He's forcing, in many situations, he's forcing Congress to carry the ball, to take the ball and run with it. Most times he's tossing it to them and they're dropping it. But he's putting them on the spot, in front of you and me, the American people, the voters, the ones that put him in office. He is differentiating between what he is unable to do and what the Congress is unwilling to do. So when it's time for him to come up for re-election, we're going to know for sure what he wanted to do and what he tried to do, and we're going to understand why it didn't happen and who was responsible for that not happening. And it's the Republican Congress. And I've talked about it on the show before. I believe we need to replace our Republican congressmen, the rhinos like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, from both houses. Replace the rhinos. Get rid of them. Replace them with real Republicans. Republicans that will conserve our Constitution, conserve our Bill of Rights, conserve our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. That's what I see as the meaning of conservative. As I said in last week's show, each of us are created the moment we're born, and we become independent in the sense that we're breathing on our own. We are outside of the incubator of our mother's womb, and we are citizens of the United States. We are endowed with inalienable rights. They're listed for us. We are supposed to be electing politicians to go to Washington to uphold and protect the Constitution. It's in the oaths that they take. As you know, that's not what happens nowadays. We elect, frankly, other actors and actresses that pretend to be politicians desiring, protecting, and upholding the Constitution. Instead, they go and line their pockets and try to enrich their districts and whoever the elite, powerful old boy network is in their constituency. This is what we have the opportunity to change. This is what I think we're learning as we see these debates play out with the NFL, with DACA, with the wall, immigration in general, with this situation with Hollywood. Trump derangement syndrome, which is very real. I think it's brilliant by Mr. Limbaugh. But it exists in so many places and at so many levels, powerful levels, in our social media companies, in our PR marketing companies, in the Hollywood, in the media, anywhere where there is power and money. We see whether it's a Ford company or it's a Pepsi or Budweiser, regardless of the industry, the company, or the corporation, nowadays the political correct, social justice, liberal progressive ideology has been made a part of it. Any medium available to the left, to the progressive movement, to the Democrat Party, any media available to get their message, their thoughts, their ideology, what they want us to think, crammed into our eyes and our ears and our brains, television, radio, music, all of the above. They have been using it for a very, very, very long time to try to deteriorate and sabotage the fundamental, I guess I should say, the foundational ethic and manners and character and integrity of the human individual in this country. Well, AJ, that's a pretty broad statement. Yes, it is, but I believe that it plays out in the evidence. Whether it's Roe v. Wade, it's the divorce rate, the infidelity rate, the fatherless rate, the single parent homes, the African American communities in this country. I believe that all of these are examples of what the left has been working towards, what the left has been trying to cause. Because people who stand up and are smart and intelligent and understand who and what they are and have self-respect and integrity and character and dignity, I believe that those are the people that are the biggest and most dangerous threats to the social justice movement and to the liberal progressive democratic movement. Those are going to be the strongest opponents to the liberal ideology and to progressivism in general. And so it has been very important to that movement to find its footing with deteriorating and weakening the human being with a capital B. The book To Shove in Your Skull a couple of weeks ago was the Screw Tape Letters, a great example of that. How to weaken and cause a human soul to become damned. That is what the liberals do through our schools and our social work, their social work, through the media, through the arts, through the movies, through the music, through all of it. It has been to cause us to damn our own souls, to choose the path of the 7 deadly sins, or even just 2 or 3 of them. It has been to weaken our fundamental strengths, the people that we can and have become as a result of the freedom and the liberty and the pursuit of happiness and the rights, what this country has afforded us in the 240 years of its existence, the kind of people that it was creating that allowed us to win a World War II and to win a Cold War. They've been working to keep that from happening, to stop that from happening any further, so that they can trick everyone into thinking that they should be in charge. And it worked. We had Obama in office for 8 years, and he did some what might turn out to be irreparable damage, although I find that hard to accept, but it might indeed be the case. If the politicians we send to government to represent us don't do their job, it might be irreparable, simply because it will not be repaired. But to get back to my idea on all this, the executive order on health care, I'm glad he's doing something. It puts pressure on the Congress. It makes them look bad, in my opinion, because when we have such an overwhelming support, and I'm not talking about polling, I'm talking about Trump and his base and what continues to be the reality out here in spite of what the media says. The American people want Obamacare repealed. We want a wall. We want our sovereignty back, and we want the citizens of America to want to be citizens of America the way that it was founded and the way that it has existed to cause it to be such a desirable place to come. But Trump keeps throwing the ball back to Congress, as he did with this Iran deal, refusing to certify it, sending it to Congress for them to decide what needs to be done. Healthcare for them, what needs to be done. DACA, Congress, you need to do your job. On immigration, DACA, the wall, all of it. He keeps giving them the ball, they keep dropping it. I said last segment, 2018, we keep hearing all of this guesswork about, oh, well, Ted Cruz said it's going to be a bloodbath if we don't get tax reform done. That's going to be, we're going to lose the House and the Senate if we don't do X, Y, and Z. Well, we know they're not going to do X, Y, and Z, or they already would have. And so what all of us, I think, who put Trump in office for a reason, to drain the swamp, to go to bat against these forces, the forces of Hollywood, the forces of the mainstream media, the forces of the Democrat Party, like Hillary Clinton, who took so much money from Saudi Arabia and all the other Middle Eastern countries that have such poor quality of life for the average citizen, such poor treatment of women, such poor treatment of those with alternative lifestyles in their country, like homosexuals or Jews or Christians. Awful, awful countries. We have to replace the rhinos, replace the senators and the congressmen and women who will not do what it is we have elected and sent them to Washington to do. We replace them with other Republicans. There's no such thing as a Democrat who wants to go and cut taxes. There's no such thing as a Democrat who wants to go and put a wall on the southern border. Regardless of what they've said in the past, they do not exist. We will not restore the integrity of our country, the reputation of our country, of our industries, like our social media industry, like our movie and entertainment industry, our music industry. These industries will have been, they've received a black eye over the past several years with their and from their behavior. Trump being put in office is the illustration of, at least for all of them in my opinion, of how all that they have worked to achieve for all of these years has not worked. Not with the majority of the country, not with the people that matter, not with the people that decide who is going to go and represent us. We have not been fooled. We must put people from the Republican Party in that will implement our president's agenda, that will value the Constitution, that will value the Bill of Rights, and that will protect our rights for us from the left, from the Democrats, from the liberal progressive movement. We must. And not only in Congress, but, we've got to do it locally, too. We've got to do it here in our counties, our cities. We have to do it in our state. It's already been heading that direction. We have to keep that up. This pie-in-the-sky, liberal, progressive, statist, socialist utopia where political correctness and transgenderism and pangenderism and all of the nonsense that gets spouted by the left and the liberals and the mainstream media and Hollywood elites every day. We must overcome it. We must marginalize it and put it back to where it used to be, in the crazy bin sector of what people think and what people believe, and what kind of people go and ascribe to that kind of belief system. The crazies. They need to become the crazy libs again, and it needs to be a group nobody wants to be a part of. The ball that Trump keeps throwing to the Congress for them to do their jobs, that they keep dropping, is also being thrown to us here in the States. We can change locally what kind of action and what kind of government is representing us. And we can do it by stopping electing activists, by stopping the election of people who want to fundamentally transform anything. If that phrase comes out of their mouth, say, "You don't get my vote." No fundamental transformation of anything, except for the fundamental restoration of our inalienable rights. We'll be back with more right after this. This is BS with AJ.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Welcome back to BS with AJ, the Talk America Radio Network. That's where you are. Stay right here. I mentioned last segment about how Trump decided not to certify or recertify, or whatever the phrase may be, the Iran deal, and how there is now much of the wringing of hands over such a decision, but he's giving it to Congress for them to decide what they want to do with it, which, as I say, is a brilliant move. It's exactly what he should do. When we criticize a president for overreach and the use of executive powers, the president that we elect after that president should be conscious to not overreach in his executive powers, and I think that Trump is exhibiting that, illustrating that for us right now. And for the record, I do not think that any of the executive orders that he has signed have illustrated any kind of overstep or overreach of his executive power. That's beside the point. But the wringing of hands now over Iran, and this reminds me of the exact type of wringing of hands over Korea, all of the fear and the panic, near panic, over, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if? And what I can't understand is why are there some people, or so many, who are only now asking the question, what would happen if? This is the question we were asking back in '93, the year I graduated high school, with our President Bill Clinton at the time, and the deal with North Korea. That's the question I was asking. What if? Well, we can't have that happen. And what we were all supposed to believe was that President Clinton took care of it. And that we didn't have to ask that question, what if, anymore. And apparently a segment of the population stopped asking that question and forgot that that question even exists. I continue to ask that question, but not what if America does what is necessary to face the problem. That's not the context of the question I'm asking when I say what if we face Iran and what if we face North Korea. That's what I think. What if North Korea does something atrocious? What if Iran does something unimaginable? That's the what if I'm thinking of. And that's the what if I believe that we should all be thinking of. We're not talking about a country with a constitution and a Bill of Rights and any kind of respect for the human being with a capital B of any kind, neither in Iran nor North Korea. These aren't people and places that we get to peacefully coexist with just because we think it would feel good and we'd prefer it that way. These countries, their governmental structure and the oppression of the state is the epitome of what the left ought to hate, of what progressives and the Democrats in this country ought to absolutely abhor. It's the type of existence and living conditions for populations, large populations, that is unimaginable to us here in the West, and that we should want to, what word to use, change, fix, not allow to be. It's not about eradication and destruction. Those are just parts of winning a victory. It is about changing the scenario and the reality, restoring or establishing freedom and peace, harmony, citizenship, neighborhoods, living side by side, culture, not driven and directed by government, guaranteed by it. The freedom to interact, to pursue, to be, to live amongst, to move freely. These are all really vague ways to describe it. It's been described and set out for us very specifically in our Bill of Rights and Constitution. I don't need to repeat all of those things 1,000 times over. But when we live in a society where we can be addicted to shows and binge watch something on Netflix, regardless of, how many people the producer assaulted to get the piece made, and then we look at North Korea and what takes place there with its citizens and what kind of threats and what kind of capabilities their insane little leader is capable of, and our reaction is, oh, we can't start a war. I hope we don't do anything to upset them and cause them to do anything. Oh gosh, well, what if they? It sounds like the most ultimate form of weakness, cowardliness, yellow-bellied. It's not about policing the world. It's about protecting ourselves and humanity from that kind of evil, and it requires sacrifice. Understanding that it requires sacrifice does not mean that someone prefers and desires that sacrifice. What we desire is peace. What we desire is liberty and freedom for all people, everywhere, all of the time. What we recognize is in order to achieve that, we have to win, whether that's the war of words or the war of arms. That's human history. It's not something new. And it's not just simply because Democrats haven't been in power long enough. And most of us out here are smart enough to understand that. But the Hollywood elite, they're not smart enough to understand that. Our Democrat politicians, they're not smart enough to understand that. People who on a census would identify themselves as a liberal do not understand that. We know they don't understand it by how they behave and what they say. And so this hand-wringing over Iran, oh no, well this is really going to upset them because, well, Congress isn't going to do anything, and then they'll probably reimpose sanctions, and then Iran will look at that as an act of war, it's like, so basically what you're telling me is that there isn't anything possible we can do that is going to have any kind of noticeable effect on this country, except for one that draws nuclear weapons, aggression, hatred, anger, and evil. Okay, well if that's the fact, then let's win. Let's defeat it. Well, Russia's probably going to help them, so we're probably going to have to clash with Russia again. Oh, really? It's not the USSR anymore. I don't know how many people don't realize that. They don't have the massive, big red army that they had before. Yeah, it's large. They're equipped, and that is what it is. But they're not the invincible Soviet Union anymore. They're not the big massive horde that will overrun Western Europe, or could have overrun Western Europe. That's not the reality. They are simply what they are now. They are a state. They have an army. They have a leader who is an actual real deplorable, if we can speak frankly. And it is my estimation that the people of Russia have no desire to have any conflict with the people of the United States. The citizens, the average man and woman, the citizens, the people, the population of Russia, I don't believe want conflict with the United States of America. I think they want to do what they do when they do it and hope that they don't find any conflict. But I feel like there's so much that's overblown and so much that is puffed up and hyped about this kind of conflict with either whether it's North Korea or Iran because of either China or Russia. We have for too long wrung our hands and dissembled and kind of simpered about whether or not we're going to do what it takes to make things right and to do the right thing and to win and to defeat the evil in the world before it can become something that would drag a globe into a conflict. But maybe we've lost our stomachs for it. Have we? I don't know. I don't think that we have. I think that's why we put Trump in office, because we haven't lost our stomachs for standing up to evil in the world. Regardless of the criticism, the people out there who want to say things like, well, we're not the world's police force, it's not our job to fix everything. It might not be our job to fix everything, but somebody has to fix something. And we might as well start with the two biggest powers on the globe, with the most open and seemingly sincere and clear threats to ourselves and our neighbors and our allies, with nuclear weapons no less. We're not simply talking about Iraq invading Kuwait for some oil, like the 90s. We're talking about nuclear weapons, which the left for so long has behaved as if those are the embodiment of evil. Inanimate demons possessing existence in our plane. They're the worst things that human ever did and justify our own damnation, according to the left. Well, here they are in the hands of people who will use them for an evil purpose, to rain damnation on their foe, for no other reason than because we will not put up with their evil, that we will not coexist beside their evil. Not just their difference of opinion. We will not coexist beside their evil. We'll be back after this.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. That's 800-378-2714.
Welcome back to BS with AJ on the Talk America Radio Network. This is AJ. A step aside from the politics and the debates going on there. Hockey season is back, and it has been now for about a week and a half. If you've listened to the show before, I'm a massive hockey fan. I'm a 25-year Pittsburgh Penguins fan, and I just wanted to say I'm excited. I got the most amazing gift from my mother-in-law and my wife. She's the one who really kind of did all the work, but my mother-in-law was involved there too. 2 tickets to see the Penguins visit the Wild in Minnesota later this month. And I could not be more excited. I absolutely am psyched The seats are absolutely amazing. I'm sitting so close to the visitors' bench. I'll be able to count the nose hairs in Sidney Crosby's nose. I'm going to take a few photos during warm-ups and, before the game action starts. But I'm a hockey fan, as I say, for 25 years with the Pens. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to take it in. I'm not going to sit with my face buried in my phone trying to share my experience with the world. I'm going to have my experience with me and my wife and my team and the Wild and the 22,000 other people there. But no, you know what I'm saying. And I couldn't be more excited. But a couple of minutes on hockey. I said a couple of shows ago that that's the sport, and I tweeted about it as well. That's the sport. If you're upset with the NFL, if you've stopped watching the NFL, and you watch college football on Saturdays like Hannity does, that's great. College football is cool. All week long, hockey is being played. There are 82 games in the season, like the NBA, and 3 or 4 times a week, your team, whichever one you pick to be a fan of, is going to be playing a game. And they put them on TV, and it's at the evening times, usually after work. On the weekends, they'll have some matinees. And it's a great family-friendly environment. It's a great place to take your family to watch a game, and it's a great event on television to watch with your family. It's a fast-moving, complex, challenging sport. It all takes place on ice, as we know. And that really, once you've watched long enough, you start to recognize what a role taking that sport and putting it on ice plays and how it changes that dynamic, or so many of the dynamics to the game. But I would recommend it. And what a year. The young talent in the league, the middle-aged talent in the league. It's just a great time to be a hockey fan. There's so much great hockey to watch. And it's a great time to be a Penguins fan. Back-to-back champions. I have to give them praise. And so we'll be wearing some championship gear while we're there, deep in enemy territory, down close to the ice. But I'm really looking forward to it, and who knows? Occasionally you can get a souvenir that close, a puck goes flying over the glass or something close enough to the ice where I could probably snag something like that if the opportunity comes. I'll tell you about it afterwards. I can't wait. It's on a Saturday night, so just could not be more psyched. And maybe we'll get on TV too. That'd be cool. See, even I want to be on TV, even after criticizing it most of the time for being such a brainwashing device. But it would be cool to make it on TV during the broadcast, and we'll see what happens. Another interesting thing, well, I'm kind of stuck on hockey, but stick with me here. Pittsburgh Penguins goaltender was taken because Las Vegas, now has a hockey team. And this is their inaugural year. They began back with an expansion draft. I believe it was July. It was July. And each team had to put up or leave some players exposed, available for that team to pick. And after all that was said and done, it appears that Vegas has turned out with a pretty good team, but our perennial goaltender for a decade, Marc-Andre Fleury, more than a decade, was chosen. He was left unprotected, and he went to the Vegas Golden Knights because the Pittsburgh Penguins have their young goaltender, Matt Murray, who's won 2 cups with them now before he just turned 23. And so they have the next generation, and they were ready to let Marc-Andre move on somewhere else where he would have more opportunity, and he did, and so far so good. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is because their opening night was recent, this past week in Vegas, and they had a really kind of a cool tribute to the city in light of what took place there with the shooting, and they did a really good job of not getting political. They honored the first responders, had several of them come out on the ice during the ceremony, and the crowd standing O. I'm sure there was a raucous singing of the national anthem, which they still do at every hockey game, and everybody stands. And I wanted to give the NHL praise because in this day and age where we're being lectured to by luxuriously living, millionaire, elitist, spoiled brats about oppression, in the NFL and the NBA, it's not happening in the NHL. They're playing hockey. They're trying to win. They're trying to entertain their fans. The theme of the night was that they weren't trying to fix anything. They just wanted to give people something to smile about. They knew that they weren't going to have any greater effect for the folks that come to watch hockey than to give them something to smile about. What a wonderful sentiment. Thank you, NHL. Thank you, Las Vegas Golden Knights. Congratulations on going 3-0 to start the season, or 4-0 maybe. I think it's 3-0. That's a record. And congrats to Marc-Andre Fleury for finding a home there and performing so well. speaking of Vegas, the story just continues to get interesting, and the plot continues to thicken. I still have this urge in me to abstain from guessing and putting out conspiracy theories and trying to figure it out on my own right now. I'm certainly curious. I certainly do not think that we're looking at just a standard guy went nuts and bought a lot of guns and tried to kill a bunch of people. I don't think that simple story is explanation enough for what went on here. In fact, I feel a little bit like at points that I'm listening to something that resembles a Ludlum novel, like one of the Bourne Identity, one of the Bourne movies, as if there's machinations and movements and things happening behind the scenes to cover up and create and deflect and misrepresent and mischaracterize. But again, we can't know for sure, but things are very odd. And the overarching point for me has nothing to do with bump stocks or bump sticks, as CNN folks say. Nothing to do with the Second Amendment. It has nothing to do with any inanimate object that can kill someone, whether it be a rock, a knife, or a howitzer. I guess it links with Iran and North Korea and some of the things that we know have happened in our history as far as how we have treated one another and the atrocities that have been committed from one human being to the other throughout human history. It's there, and it's always part of the world we wake up to and go out to face. It doesn't excuse it. It doesn't take away the sting or the burn of the effect of it. But we have lived so comfortably and so protected and so isolated and shielded from so many of these things for so long that I think we have taken for granted that comfort and ease, and that many of us, especially the younger amongst us, have no idea how to respond. They've not been taught any of the things that they should have been taught about our history to put any of this into perspective. And that's why we have such emotional, knee-jerk, hysterical reactions, panic-filled reactions from leftists and liberals, and libertarians, quite frankly, sometimes as well, but Democrats especially. We are lucky to survive our climate. We are lucky to survive Mother Nature. We're lucky to survive our culture. Not because of it's American or it's not, or because of this or that or it's not, but because it's human. We are challenged with surviving and overcoming so much that it's very challenging. We've lost the notion that we have a lifetime to build a legacy and leave something to be remembered by. It's become a list of grievances of what we have suffered. Almost, and I'm speaking culturally, pop culture, mainstream, what's presented to us by the media, what we seem to be observing. It just seems to me that we have lost our toughness. And I'm not the first to say it, I get that. But what I'm saying is that with each event, each hurricane, each act of evil, whether it's a terrorist act by the religion of peace or it's something from a Ludlum novel that plays out in Las Vegas, it's reminding us, it reminds me, it illustrates for me that we are not above. We have not removed ourselves from danger. We have not mitigated risk to such a degree where we can forget what it's like to have to deal with it. We are just as vulnerable as we have always been. The needs of our rights, the need to every one of the Bill of Rights, every one of the amendments. It is absolutely vital for us to have all of them protecting us and shielding us from the world that we wake up to each morning. The same world that our founding fathers woke up to each morning. They didn't have a cell phone in their pocket or a computer or a laptop or an AR-15, but they did have all of the same challenges and risks and dangers facing them on a daily basis. The evils of humanity, the risk of living on this tumultuous globe where Mother Nature strikes indiscriminately and without warning most of the time. That's where we are. It's where we've always been. Anything else we think it is has been added as a result of our immense technological and social expansion and growth. And what our hurricanes and our tragedies and these wake-up calls are, as I've called them before, they're wake-up calls. They're waking us up to the fact that we are no safer, we are no better off in this country except by the freedoms that we are afforded, that our government is supposed to be protecting. For the liberty and the freedom, the pursuit of happiness, the Bill of Rights, our Constitution, our self-rule, our representative republic. It is still the most vital way to live, by freeing the people to face this dangerous and ugly world on a daily basis with an arsenal of defenses and securities and reassurances and dependences on ourselves and our families, quite frankly. And previously in our days, our communities. And I think that what we learned through Harvey and through Vegas and through all of it is that our communities are as strong as ever. It's the liberals and the social justice warriors and the Democrats and the newsies that are trying to make us think that they're not. We're doing pretty darn good. Real quickly, running out of time, a book to shove in your skull. I kind of alluded or gave a hint as to the author that would be featured this week. I mentioned that all of this that's surrounding this story as it plays out in the investigation into Vegas and the shooting there, it reminds me of something from a Ludlum book, like The Bourne Identity, and that is the book for a book to shove in your skull this week. I think the War Spy Crime, Ludlum, Clancy, there's another, his name's right on the tip of my tongue. You'll probably know some other names in this genre as well. Wonderful to read because they steal a lot from the world of the cloak and dagger, CIA, military operations stuff. They do a lot of research. They look into that and find ways to tell stories about events that have taken place without actually telling us what happened. That is an example. In the movies, maybe you just want to binge watch some movies, but the Robert Ludlum Bourne series is one that I would recommend. It's a blast, it's high-paced, it's a lot of energy, a lot of action, and it's an interesting window into that world of high-stakes espionage with world powers where there's a lot to lose, and there's a high cost for the efforts that they make and these operatives that they use. So check it out, a book to shove in your skull, Robert Ludlum, the Bourne series, and any Ludlum book. The one that I'm referencing here is the Parsifal Mosaic. That's another great one I would recommend. But pick up some Ludlum, some Clancy, shove a book in your skull, and learn about our espionage and cloak and dagger world in the 21st century and the 20th century. Some fascinating stuff. Thanks for tuning in. BS with AJ to the Talk America Radio Network. Thank you for patronizing the folks who advertise on the show. And we'll be back with you next week with another exciting, action-packed episode. Until then, be safe and bye, Earth.